I ended up meeting a guy, and I ended up having 3 more kids with this. He's Jamaican, with this Jamaican guy. Me and his relationship was good. Me and this man's relationship, my children's father, we were on a spiritual journey together. You know, I went into, if you know me, I went through a lot of walks of religion. Okay, so when I met him, I went through, because remember I was 5%, right? So I had the 5% knowledge in my head. So when I met him, he was Muslim, right? He was Muslim, and I had a really close friend. Me and her was really close. We met in the projects where my sister lived, and me and her was really tight. We were really tight. We used to hang out with each other and stuff like that. And then she met a guy that had introduced her to the knowledge, to Dr. York's knowledge, the Muslim, right? And so one day, and then I met the guy. So it was like my one of my close friends, she was getting introduced to the religion, and then the guy I met, he was already in it. He just came home from jail, but this is what he was doing before he went to jail. So when she had gave me a book to read, and I brought it and I was reading it, he saw it I was reading, he said, "Where you get this book from? This is my teacher. This is my imam. Where you get this from?" So we connected that way, and and I started studying Islam because I became a Muslim. And when I became a Muslim, I wanted to move into the community, right? This man had a community down in Bushwick. All of them was wearing all white. I used to go to the classes. I used to go studying. I used to do all the praying and stuff like that. So I would told my baby father, I would tell him how interested I was. I wanted to move into this community. And he was like, "You want to move in that community? That community is not all what you think it is." And I was like, "I don't care. I don't want to move in here." You know, I was always trying to look for somewhere where I felt whole, like a family unit. When I met my baby father, and he had this big, beautiful, I mean, when I tell you a big house, okay? His father used to drive a BMW. His father brought him a BMW. He had money, and they weren't close knitted until I found out later that the house was crazy. You know what I mean? So that didn't work. And then I met this man. He just came out of jail. He knew about the religion that I was so drawn to, because I already had got introduced to 5%. So it was like after the 5% knowledge, it just left me hanging. So when I got introduced to Dr. York, the Muslim, not the Sudan Muslim, the Islam Muslim, I felt attracted to it, and I wanted to move into the community and be a part of this community and stuff like that. And he was like, "You want to be a part of that? Go ahead. I already lived there. I know what it was." So I ended up moving into this community. And honey, it was pretty on the outside, but inside we was living like fucking homeless people. It was a Bushwick community. People, if y'all from Brooklyn, y'all know. We used to all wear white and all of that. And I lived in this building, and it was abandoned. We had no light. We had no hot water. It was a girl building. They had the men. They had the family. And at the time, I didn't know I was pregnant. When I moved in, I found that I was pregnant with my second child, with Naomi. And so when I found out I was pregnant, you know, I let her father know, and he was like, "Well, you need to come out of there, because, you know, I'm not having my..." And I was like, "No, I'm staying here. You need to move in." So he was living on the outside, and I was living in inside. When I end up in this community, when I moved in there, they made me the head woman of this building. So I'm ahead of this building, and I'm like new, and everybody, you know, like, how she come in here, be the head of the household and all this, and you couldn't be pregnant. You had to be single, and you had to be single. So I hid my pregnancy, because I didn't. After that, I gave up my apartment. I moved in there, so I was hiding my pregnancy the whole time, because I didn't want to get kicked out or sent upstate where the other pregnant sisters were, or family members were, and so on. So I hid my pregnancy, and I stayed there my whole pregnancy, living in an abandoned building with no lights. We were stealing lights. We had to use candles. There was no heat, no hot water, none of that. And I lived there till almost to the end term of my pregnancy. And my baby father ended up he ended up getting an apartment for us. Actually, his uncle ended up getting an apartment for us, because he was hustling. They both was hustling in the street, whatever. And he ended up getting us an apartment over there in Brooklyn. and he moved me out. But the reason why I moved out of the community, because the community was moving down to Atlanta. And everybody's like, you're not moving down to Atlanta to the new land, because the Imam, Dr. York, he bought all this land in Atlanta, and so he was transitioning his property and his people down to Atlanta. So this is why they say the community didn't have no hot water and heat and all that, because the buildings, he was losing the buildings, and he didn't really care about the Brooklyn community anymore. So he was trying to move us, transition us down south to Atlanta. I didn't want to go down there. Number one, before he had came down to teach a class, we hardly seen him. So when he came down, the community was packed. Everybody would come to hear him speak. But he said something in his speech. He's like, I don't know why y'all stuck up underneath me. There's knowledge out here. You waiting for me to spoon feed y'all this knowledge. When this knowledge is out here, you can find it yourself. Y'all can find it yourself. Y'all don't gotta be up in here underneath me waiting for me to drop a new book, for me to do a new speech. And he was like, he said, soon we won't be in these gobs. Y'all gonna be walking around in normal clothes. So when he said that, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? It was like a light switch in my head, like an aha moment. I was like, oh, I gotta get out of here. He's right. Why am I here? I'm about to have a baby. I don't want to bring my baby into no world like this with no heat, no hot water, and hustling on the street selling oils and incense and books. I got to get out of here. So my baby father ended up getting me an apartment, and I ended up leaving. And I was in love, honey. Until next time. I also want to say this. Even though I was living in this community and didn't have no hot water and no heat, I was happy. I was spiritually happy. I felt it was a family, you know. That sounds weird, but it was a family community. And we didn't have heat, we didn't have hot water. We had to, go out and hustle, make quota. They used to make us go out with our tables and sell incense and oils and jewelries and books. And then whatever money you make, you had to bring back a percentage of that and give back to the community so they can buy food, they can, support the community that you live in. But I was happy. I was truly happy. I hated to leave, but when he made that speech, it gave me an aha moment. Like, bitch, what are you doing? You can learn this stuff on the outside and live a normal life, because you can't bring your baby in with no heat and no hot water. You can't do that. So I ended up getting an apartment with my baby father. I ended up having 3 kids by him. We were struggling. He was a hustler, selling weed, robbing people. He was hustling, and but we did it. And then one time during his hustling time, he got knocked. He did time. He did a good year, and when he came out of jail, they ended up deporting him. I had 3 kids, and he gets deported. And during this time too, he had mad women cheating on me, but it was I wouldn't even call it cheating, because we were Muslim, so he's always looking for a wife. It was just, oh God, and that was rough for me as well. You know what I mean? Accepting that, because I'm not born into no religion like this. You know what I mean? So yeah. But anyway, he ended up getting knocked. I ended up getting left with 3 children to take care of. He comes out, and he wants to move to Florida to make a better life for himself. So he goes to Florida to go live, and then we will go up to be with him. But as he's up in Florida to live, I met somebody. Because when he was in jail, I met somebody. You know what I'm saying? I met somebody, but not somebody that I wanted to be with. It was somebody that I was just flirting around with or whatever, and he found out about it. But whatever. We've been together for over 10 years. I give you 1 or 2 women every year you was cheating on me with. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, he moves to Florida. We was starting our life over. He moves to Florida. I pack up the kids. He gets there first. Right? He gets there first. He meets a woman. I didn't even know. So anyway, he gets there first. He meets a woman. He gets an apartment, all that. So I'll say, okay, send the kids. I pack up the kids. I send them. So I pack up the kids because, I wanted to send them first, and then I come. You know what I mean? Because I had to pack up the apartment. I had a 3-bedroom apartment, fully furnished. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, he found a job. he found the apartment. So he said, okay, it's time for y'all to come. So I packed up the kids. I sent them along the way first. Then I packed up the apartment. But when the kids got there and I was talking to the phone, they told me he had a girlfriend. First they said she was the babysitter. Oh, we got a babysitter, you got a babysitter. And then Naomi, my daughter, was telling me the babysitter was spending the night. And I was like, what the fuck? So I knew this, but I couldn't really confront him because I didn't want him to flip out on me and stuff like that. We wasn't living Muslim no more, so that wasn't accepted. I wasn't having that anymore. So I ended up packing up the apartment, putting it in storage, and get up there. When I get up there, he told me he was talking to this girl and he was going to make her second wife or some shit. And I was like, what? I'm not going through this. We're not Muslim anymore. We're Rastas. I'm not doing it. In my head, I'm like, I'm not doing this no more. I go into the apartment. We're supposed to be my apartment now. And in the bedroom, our bedroom, the bitch left her panties in the drawers for me to see. For me to see that she was up in this bitch. So I was like, oh, this is how it's rocking. I called my girlfriend that lived in the Bronx. I was like, I gotta go. This nigga's still cheating on me. He have a whole girl up here and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, she was like, all right, I'm gonna send you money for you and your kids to get on the bus. And y'all come back and y'all come live with me. So she sends the money for all of us to get on the bus and leave. When he went to work, I packed our shit and we left. I got on the fucking bus. He was wondering where the fuck did I go. I packed my kids up and we left. And I'm gonna leave it there because coming back to New York, living in the Bronx at my girlfriend's house is another story. Then I went back home to North Babylon to go live with my kids.